Right, so this morning's run was a bit of an event. Good morning all. The army requested I run a minute fast, a minute slow, repeat 5 times. So a 10-minute run with half of it at your best speed. So because I know I need to warm up into running and I don't really want to run any more than I have to, I swapped that round and did a slow run, fast run, etc. So jog run, etc. and all that. And I got, without doing the hill, which is a monstrous hill right at the start of the run, I just walked up to the end of it before I started. So that was a bit of a stretch, you know, of my calf muscles and stuff, and I found setting off on jogging a lot easier. So 10 minutes, 0.95 miles, which is smashing it a bit, which is a lot better than the last run. So that's an average of, 10 minutes 11 seconds a mile, whereas the last run was 11 minutes 20 a mile. So that should tell you that's essentially shaved a whole minute per mile off, which means that doing the fitness assessment on Sunday, where it's a 1.5 mile run, and ideally you want to get under 14 minutes, that's doable. But it's kind of only really doable if I now run Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So if I run for the next 3 days, or at least one of those days in between instead of slacking off, I could be in with a chance of getting a qualifying time for not necessarily the parachute regiment or the SAS or anything like that, or even the infantry, but it would actually put me in line with a lot of the other services within the army, like signals, REME, logistics, all that sort of thing. So yeah, and yes, I am having a cigarette on camera. I don't normally, but there's only so much walk back. So one of the things I wanted to talk about this morning is I'm a bit overwhelmed by people's support, both encouragement and people watching the videos and people putting likes down and leaving comments and stuff like that. The channel only has, at the last time I counted, 17 actual subscribers. If you look on it, it'll probably say 18, but one of those is me, so I can check that the video notifications are going through when I upload a video. So 17 people have subscribed to this, which is fantastic. I appreciate it, given that I haven't really advertised this at all. I've literally told people within my sphere about it, and 17 or 18 of them have been good enough to subscribe, and that's awesome. I really appreciate it. And lots of you are watching all the videos, and lots of you are leaving comments, and that's really appreciated. Every time you leave a comment about a video, even if it's slightly negative, like I know the sound quality fell off again on yesterday's video, but when you're doing a video a day and you've got a life to live around that, you get just one take at it, really. Given that me wandering out into the woods filming and getting there and getting back and stuff, it's easily an hour every day, and I don't mind that. That's an amount of time I'm happy to put in, because I think it might help some people, and it's certainly helping me. And having a video to do every day prevents me from being able to slack off at all, really. There has to be a video every day. The only time there can not be a video every day is if something truly catastrophic happens and I just don't have time to film anything else. So yeah, so that's one part. It's really awesome, and I feel very supported. So keep it up, keep dropping in the comments, keep liking, subscribing, doing all the thing, tell people about it, especially if you think they can benefit from it. And the second part, which I really wasn't expecting, is just, people have been donating. I find it amazing. I'm not going to say no, because every little bit helps, and the donations this month will all go into better equipment. So you should see a nicer image. I'm not sure I can do the whole 4K upload thing. I'll try. I'll give it a shot, but if it crashes my computer and I can't even render it, then it'll still be in 1080p or 2.5K. I'll see what rendering options Kdenlive has got. The other thing I'll be getting because of your donations this month, is happening a lot faster, is a new camera with better image stabilization and a gimbal to make it essentially buttery smooth, and I'll build that into a rig which I'll do a video on. But the rig I have in mind is pretty impressive. It's like a full-on super interesting vlogging rig, but we'll see. See what we can get done with that. So yeah, I mean, so I'm going to name you and embarrass you, so in no particular order, thank you to Misanthropic Gods, Echoes, Avagdu, Avagdu again, because he gave me another donation this month, apart from the fact he's on my Patreon, and the link to the Patreon is now at the bottom of all the videos, if you are so inclined. And special thanks and a mind-blown shout out to Digital Whiskey. It's just amazing. So, you know, all those people not only putting in the time to watch the videos, but also helping to financially support the channel. And Digital Whiskey's donation was just outstanding. I didn't know what to do. But I read a book a while back, and I thoroughly recommend you all read it too. If you're at all creative, get a hold of Amanda Palmer's The Art of Asking. So if you do anything creative and you'd like to do it and get some money for it one day, that is an extremely positive book to read. Amanda Palmer's an amazing musician and artist, as well as, in my humble opinion, because of simply how dangerous she is. Amazingly hot, I have to say. One of the few people that you could call a celebrity that just makes me kind of, you know, when cats watch birds and they do that yittery movement, that involuntary movement, and they sound silly with their jaw, that's how she makes me feel. It's just like, wow, she's pretty awesome. Just like, so hopefully at some point in my life I'll get to meet her. Probably not tell her that. So but yeah, I'll see if I can get her to sign one of the microphones I use for podcasting. So yeah, but she wrote this book about how difficult it is to create and then try and sort out money. You know, I've been doing Rangers for well over 10 years now. Must be about 12 years or so, or something like that. There are people that know what the output is better than I do. Could be 12, could be 15. It's definitely more than 10. And it was a really amazing, you know, period to be able to throw out media every week and try and do videos. And I never would have ever, for the majority of that, it didn't occur to me to sort of say, hey, you can help out. And the mechanisms didn't exist. So, to make it easy for people. But people did materially support the show. People gave me lots of equipment. You know, Raffin, who's now Rembimon on the Discord channel, has basically paid for most of the microphones I own. You know, so the reason I've actually got relatively decent sound quality in the home studio is because of him. So it's definitely one of those things. It's like, it's very hard to sort of say, look, I'm putting the hat out if I'm going to be doing this weird street performance, you know, to the World Village. And if you want to throw money in, then that's great, and if you don't, then that's cool too. I mean, the money definitely comes third after the idea that I might be helping someone else. The second thing that I'm definitely improving my life. There's no doubt about that. And then, you know, this amazing thing where occasionally people help out and allow me to improve the show, because that's pretty much where all the money goes. You know, fair enough, if I was to be buying my own equipment, which is what I would have been buying this camera anyway, it just would have been a lot further away. You know, I would have still improved the show purely based on feedback, but it seriously helps. And I really want to know, I mean, is there anybody apart from nut jobs like me and Harlequin that's actually doing this? Is anybody getting out for a walk? Is anybody thinking about why they do things? Has anybody improved their habits? That's the kind of stuff I want to know. It's cool. It's important, you know. Imagine if we could get a couple of million people just into slightly better shape. You know, what if, you know, we do a series 2 that's even more like fitness instruction once the army basic training is over. I mean, this is pretty much all I can manage right now. You know, doing the army fitness course, talking about a few bits of philosophy that I find, and then making a video about it. You know, it's about my limit. I mean, I want to shoot the trailer this week, hopefully tomorrow, but it might be Friday, just so I can get something up, so I can put something on Rangers Tube and get some of the folks from Rangers Tube to come across, something on the Church of Server channel, and then just generally upload it to YouTube. There's a lot of actual work to do, and I want to make it look good. So, yes. I mean, there's a little tiny bit of me that says, oh, make the trailer with the good camera. But I think I'll make a trailer 0. You know, then it's done. And I can take the pressure off myself somewhat. Yeah, and we can see what happens. But, yeah. It's happening, and it's happening with your help, is what I'm trying to say, in a very long way round. You know, people are being very supportive. You know, thank you to everybody that's commented. It's appreciated. You know I might not be the fittest person out of the people that I know within the group that are actually watching this. I might be the least fit. I know people that are less, you know, I have friends that are slightly less fit than me, but, you know, they're not the sort of people that would necessarily watch this. And you can't make people. You couldn't have made me 2 months ago. You could not have made me get up early in the morning and go for a run. You know, you do not have enough people. But that's the thing. But yes. So I guess, I mean, I was watching a really amazing TV series last night, just the last end of it. And it's a TV show called The Get Down, which is about this, you know, a very dramatized story of hip hop. I mean, if you want the real story, you probably got to watch the Netflix documentary about the birth of hip hop, which I'm going to do today because it's a really interesting thing. And the way they do the way they ended it was that, you know, through art and communication, people can learn to be better, and if they're better, then they can achieve more. You know, instead of infighting and stuff like that. Which there was a lot of gang violence in the Bronx in the 70s and the early 80s in New York, which is where hip hop's from. And it just shows you that even with zero, you know, being on the lowest socio-economic rung you can imagine in America, and it's, you know, for all that, it's still a pretty rich country, that art will still happen whether you like it or not, and creativity will still bloom, and people will surpass, you know, all the expectations that they and other people have of them. You know, you can't repress a determined human being. They're bloody dangerous animals. You know, all human beings are dangerous animals. You fuck around with them too much, they will eventually screw you up and make you very, very sad that you ever bother with one. You know, we're like tigers in cages with big old brains. So yeah, so I'm a huge fan of hip hop. Hip hop is like the America created punk as well. But you know, hip hop is interesting because it is a definite reason why, you know, people do despair less. You know, art keeps people sane. You know, music will keep people going. People will have favourite bands, and that sounds like a really penny ante thing, but it matters if you don't have anything. You know, human beings will make music out of disused plastic containers if you leave them alone long enough. So yeah, that's why I like hip hop. And it's angry. Hip hop is way angrier than punk, and deservedly so. Also, things like hip hop came out of the civil rights movement, the Malcolm X movement, the Black Panthers. Hip hop started to happen with people like Gil Scott-Heron and the Last Poets. People that were actually going, I don't think I can dress this up in a song, we're just going to have to pretty much say it. And all of a sudden you've essentially got rap, you know, and beatboxing, which is music that requires nothing. It doesn't even require, you know, decades and decades and decades of training like the blues might do to become a real blues virtuoso. But they share a common ancestry, and it's awesome. You know, and also things like the breakbeats are out of, you know, taken from other records, where somebody can hear a section of music that will actually lay into a very fast rap pace, then add in a melody, and you essentially have hip hop. When you've got a scratch beat, well, you know, I'm white-splaining hip hop, but it's important, and it has been important, and I would say hip hop probably kept the concept of civil rights going after COINTELPRO. I'd say it's that heroic, which is why I like it. I mean, punk pushed back against social norms, but essentially, and for the most part, and I'm probably wrong in one or two individual cases, but that's white kids saying shit's broken. You know, punk is the response of white kids suddenly finding out they're living in a depression. And there were probably people in the 1930s in America after the Wall Street crash that played music that their parents didn't like. It's just that the recording technology wasn't there, and we don't know. Perhaps there was some angry skiffle or some angry blues or really violent lyric jug bands or whatever it is that they were playing, but they were definitely doing it. So yeah, and I like low barrier to entry music. I like music that requires skill, but, you know, allows people to express themselves without doing, you know, the time of necessarily learning a hugely complicated instrument like a piano or being a virtuoso on the guitar. You know, when you've got that low barrier to entry, much more stuff comes up, and then you can track that straight across to things like the Arduino and the Raspberry Pi. That's taking out the expense barrier to entry, although annoyingly both of those organisations kind of dropped the ball. You know, hip hop and punk are beating out, from a cultural impact point of view, the Arduino Foundation and the Raspberry Pi Foundation. And I'll tell you why. Hip hop and punk were accessible, everybody knew about them. The Raspberry Pi and the Arduino, which could lead to a teenager tech revolution, are hard to get hold of. If you don't have a credit card, screw you. What's up with that? You know? If you don't have the ability to use a credit card, you can't have a piece of technology that would be amazing in the hands of teenagers. If you don't have your parents' approval to buy it on your behalf, you can't have one. Yet, those are machines that cost £3 for an Arduino if you want a copy, and bear in mind it's open source. There's no way an Arduino should cost you £50. You know, until if they charged like £5 or £6 for an Arduino Uno, and you were buying a genuine Arduino, then fair enough. But to charge £45 for one is just madness. You know, and to do anything other than the Raspberry Pi Zero or even the Zero W, true, it's a more competent computer, but it's a very underpowered computer. And by the time you've got all that, you probably spent about the power supply, the keyboard, mouse, monitor, memory card. I'm telling you, you might as well buy a laptop. But, you know, so there's a revolution that could happen. It's just people are being, you know, the people in charge do not get what they're doing. They do not get where it could go. I mean, imagine if you could get Arduinos, actual Arduino Unos, and some kind of sound shield. Raspberry Pi and some kind of synthesizer shield into the hands of, you know, tweens and teenagers, right? For virtually nothing. If you could do that, then they would tinker with them and they would do interesting stuff with them, probably strip out tons of the operating system that they didn't need and create a lightweight operating system with a lot less crap in it. And also turn it into essentially a musical instrument that they can use with headphones or through an amplifier. Is it so hard? Yet, you can't buy these things in the high street. Most teenagers that I know aren't aware that these things exist, apart from a few sort of very well supported middle class kids that are getting these things for Christmas. And I thought, you know, I thought we'd learn from the one laptop per child fiasco that, you know, get it into their hands. Imagine, what are they going to do with the ability to create electronic music or electronic art that we just don't understand? What if they create really weird 3D rendering and viewing apparatus, because they now can, out of old phone screens and a Raspberry Pi? You know, just boggles me. I have to send some emails. So, you know, that might be a thing. How do you get into retail? Well, you know, why isn't WH Smith giving these things away if you buy more than 10 quid's worth of stationery? Like an Arduino. Here you go, kid, here's a computer. Runs off USB. There's the cable, there's a few electronics components, go build something interesting. You know, with all the software free. But, you know, you're continually limiting, you know, if you want to help out a kid, like you got a nephew or a niece, or you are one of those kids and you want to help yourself out as far as getting the hang of computers, is just go and buy the cheapest second-hand laptop you can. And I'm literally seeing them at about the 40, 50 quid mark. You know, 45 quid, 49 pounds for a 2 gig memory, you know, piece of crap laptop. Which is actually at this point cheaper than having to buy everything for an Arduino from scratch. I'm sorry, a Raspberry Pi, an actual Raspberry Pi rather than a Zero from scratch. You know, don't. It's just, you know, it's definitely a case of, you know, the people that are benefiting from a little tiny revolution that's happening are the people that don't need any more help, i.e. white middle class kids. You know, think, you know, the way to get people passionate about contributing to human culture is to get them young and say, look, go do anything. And it's really bloody annoying. Maybe the weird thing that comes out of this is I managed to get some sort of retail space in Manchester where these things are available to people. Maybe that's what I should do, because it annoys the shit out of me that this stuff isn't around. So yeah, I think we're going to end it there before I get cross. But yeah, pleased with my run. But yeah, you know, sort of like the thing that where I was starting off, the reason I went down the hip hop road is, you know, there's sort of like, you know, learn, teach. You only got to teach one other person. If you find the truth, you know, you just pass it on. And this is definitely feeling like it's right. Get some exercise, live a more productive life. You will get more out of your day. And if you get more out of your day, you resent work less. Just treat it like a long-term hobby that's supporting you doing your actual important job of being creative and being a human, which is how I treat my job now. And they can't really argue, because it's a meaningless job. I thoroughly recommend meaningless jobs to everybody. Just go and get a medium, well-paid, meaningless job that allows you to live your life, and then go and do interesting stuff with the time that you're paying for. You work, you give up your time, so you get to do more of what you want in the remaining time. That's what a job is, and we seem to have forgotten that. Unless you're doing something that you consider to be a calling. I know a few people that are doing really cool jobs. You know, if you're doing something that really says, I want to do this, I don't want to do anything else, there's no other job I would have, then fantastic. Hope you're getting paid properly, because you should be. But most of us are just doing bullshit jobs. You know, It needs to be done. There are a lot of bullshit jobs like janitorial services, me doing washing dishes, Harlequin washing dishes. You know, there's just that need doing. They need doing. Somebody's going to do them. Better you do them with incredible efficiency, and it pays for you to live your lifestyle so you can just about get by and then do more interesting stuff when you're not there. Nothing wrong with that. Not in today's economy. Anyway, so going to leave it there. Learn, teach, share. That's it. That's what we're doing here. You know, share it with people. And thank you. I am truly humbled by the amount of support I'm getting. It's really amazing, and I do appreciate it. It's an unusual feeling. I'm trying to remember if I've ever felt like it before, and I really don't feel that, but prior to Rangers, I was doing anything that people appreciated. I know people have backed us up for years and years and years, and it's appreciated. And if you're new to this and you're just coming into it and you want to go and check out the Rangers, just look up R4NGE R5 Tube TUBE, and you just go and look at the back catalogue of stuff. But yeah, it's great. Thank you very much. It's most appreciated. Everybody helping out and really making me feel like this is a worthwhile experiment. So yeah, thanks for watching. Do take care.